Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing really good. I'm so happy to be here and ready to launch my Teachers Who Rock podcast. It's very exciting.
When I think of teachers who rock, I think of you.
You do?
Yes. Well,
Oh my gosh.
one, you're a teacher.
Yes.
Two, you actually do rock. You're in a band called Mama Drama.
Yes.
And three, you've won how many Teachers of the Year awards?
That has been a wild, wild ride.
Okay.
So, yes. So I was Spring Lake Heights Teacher of the Year in 2021. And that led to Monmouth County Teacher of the Year,
Wow.
which I still have like crazy imposter syndrome over for 2023, technically.
Yeah, you know they don't give that to everybody, right?
I know. And
Okay.
you know what? I think that's part of the reason why I want to have this podcast. And there's so many amazing teachers out there. And kind of when you get that type of award, you think to yourself, like, I'm not worthy. And,
Yeah.
you know, I do what I do and I love what I do. But there's so many other teachers out there as well that
Sure.
are just killing it. So,
Well, you stand above, that's proven because you won these awards. And I know, it's a whole selection committee and process, and I'm sure maybe there are arguments and fist fights, and it's not an easy decision, I'm sure.
no, I'm sure.
But
it's
they
not.
chose you,
But
and you
yes,
earned
and
it. So
it's been amazing.
yeah,
Incredible opportunity.
yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
I remember my teachers. They did not all rock. Some of them were difficult.
Yes.
But I mean, for the most part, I know it's a tough job.
It is. It's not an easy job,
Yeah.
but it does take, I think it's one of those things you can't fake it. I think either if you're not a teacher and you're just trying to get by, you're not
Yeah.
going to last. And I think that for the most part, for most people, you have to love it. It has to be part of who you are.
Yes.
It's kind of like a lifestyle more than a profession, I think.
Yeah. I always wonder if I could teach kids.
I think you could totally teach kids.
I don't know. I think I'm too much of a kid to actually teach kids.
Well, sometimes I think that's helpful.
Is it?
I think so.
I think I can't even discipline myself. Now I got to discipline, a bunch of, whatever, 10-year-olds or whatever. But
Yeah.
I could do it in small doses. In here a couple of weeks ago, I had a dozen 10-year-olds
Oh, my goodness.
in the studio.
That's amazing.
They had just started podcasting for their technology class.
That's great.
Their teacher hit me up. They're like, "Hey, I want the kids to see a real studio.
Right.
Can I bring them in? Like, do you do it? Do you even do anything like this?" I'm like, "Absolutely. I would
Yeah.
love
That's a great thing to
to
do.
have kids in here." And they were well prepared. They were enthusiastic. They were well behaved.
And this isn't a big space.
Yeah. No, it's
That's
not.
great. And
It's not.
lots of things for them to touch and kind of.
Oh yeah, I
stand in awe of
I
all
welcome
these
that though.
things.
Hey, it's
Yeah.
like, hey, if it's cool with everybody, your teachers and your parents, by all means, take a picture with stuff in here. It was great. So a dozen 10-year-olds, 2 instructors, a nurse,
Oh my God.
and the principal came.
Wow.
And I heard, whenever the principal comes, that's big deal.
Yes, that is
Principal never
very
leaves.
true.
Yeah.
That is a pretty big deal.
Yeah. So that was like 2 hours. I don't know over a semester. Like, I don't know how you do it. I know you have to prep every week for the coming week.
Yes.
And you're in charge of a bunch of kids, and not only that, my wife teaches as well.
Right.
She teaches 2.5 and 3-year-olds, so she's insane.
in it. Yes.
She's in it, but she says, listen, the most difficult part isn't the kids, it's the parents.
Yes. I
So
was going to say that's part of it too. It's
Yeah.
just having that relationship, I think, is so important.
right.
And, it's tough. I find that September, October, November is like where you front load like all this work, especially I teach kindergarten. So they're a lot younger and then
Yes.
just kind of figuring out school and themselves
Yeah.
and how to get along and all of those things. And I think after COVID especially, it's even more difficult right now
Yeah.
because they've been isolated. Some of them haven't gone to preschool or haven't
Right.
had those same school experiences. So we front load and you're working so hard. And then you get to this time of year and all of a sudden I start to look around. I'm like, wow, they got it.
Yeah.
All this hard work and
Yeah.
they understand. They've got the routines, they've got the procedures, and it's amazing. And then I get to like mid to end of May and I start thinking like, oh my God, it's almost done. And I have to start all over again.
It's a marathon.
Like, how are we going to do this? You
It's a
you get to that
marathon.
point, but it is.
And how long have you been teaching?
18 years I've
18?
been in education.
Wow.
But I have switched
Wow.
positions and districts.
And
and
you
places
don't
and
look
all
like
that.
you've aged at all. So I don't know how you must really love it then. You must really love it.
Love it.
So.
I do love it. And I think that over time I've learned a little bit of how to make sure that I keep that balance as well. And I
Right.
think that's really important for educators. I think for everybody in general to make
Yeah.
sure that we don't always get lost in just our jobs and our work and the things that we do, but also take the time for ourselves.
Right. But
important.
still you have how many kids this year?
This year I have 10.
10.
I have a small class of 10, which is amazing.
Right. But you still have to worry about 10 young minds,
Oh,
each with their
absolutely.
different needs,
Yes.
problems,
100%.
anxieties,
Yes.
and skill levels.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's just knowing where they all are and where you want them to go and where
Yeah.
they need to be. And like you said, I think the partnership with parents is really key and very important. I'm blessed where I am that I have really good relationships. The parents are extremely involved.
Yeah. That's
That
good.
can be tricky too. You know,
Yeah.
you don't have that support. So
Yeah.
in a pretty.
You can see like the cool teacher vibe though. So, because
I try. I don't know. I think sometimes they look at me as well. They're younger too, so I'm probably like 100 years old to them.
I don't think so. I think they can relate to you pretty well. So, but yeah, I remember being in school. The teacher was a teacher. They were really cool. They weren't. Many had their quirks.
Yes.
A lot of them, we were kids, so we made fun of them behind their backs if they deserved it. You talk about which one's the cool teacher, what are the mean teachers, what you can get away with some of them. And I guess that kind of came in handy when I had kids. Then you put your kids in school. My kids went to public schools. Like, okay, what's this teacher like? What if I was going to school here? But now you're in a different position though.
Yes, because I am the teacher, and getting to see, I think too, and I don't know if it's just because as we get older, now they're my peers.
Yeah.
But I feel like when I think back to teaching, and you look at like teachers. Back in the day, like I'm really aging myself here, but I feel like, they kind of stood in the front of the room and they were very like, almost like homely or very, very different, like very caring, very loving. But now I feel like we're just more individual. I feel like the teachers have their own like style and
I feel like teachers are allowed to have fun now, more fun than back in the day. Yeah. So you taught during COVID.
I did.
Had to be probably the biggest challenge out of the 18 years that
was
you've been teaching.
Yes. And I look back and, nobody had the crystal ball to know or to find what the best way. We were kind of figuring it out as we went. We found out on a Friday, like, all right, prepare, because we're not sure, we'll be coming back. Originally, it was 2 weeks. Prepare for 2 weeks.
I remember. I prepared. I was like, 2 weeks, no big deal.
2 weeks. And then it went to like a month, and then we weren't coming back.
Yeah.
That was really tough. I think that I made a lot of videos during that time because I felt it was easier for the families. If I made the video, then they can watch the video with their child. Okay. And then I would go on live with them and follow up and help them and stuff like that. So it was a lot. But the amount of time, so I would go on live during the day, make the videos after I went on live.
Yes.
And then uploading the videos that night and putting together like the Google Classroom with all the information.
Yeah.
So it was like a constant
wow.
It was a lot of work. Like it would have been easier for me to just probably go live at the time. Instead of doing all that. But looking back, the positive was that some people were like, I was so bored over COVID. All that time, I didn't know what to do with myself. Yeah. I was busy.
You turned each day. It took all day, it sounds like. It literally took all day.
And then, it was so tough to see those little faces, on a screen and, trying to teach them and keep their attention and stuff. But families, again, thank goodness, were very supportive and we got through it. But it was
still, I don't know.
What a way to end the year. It was awful. It still touches my heart when I think about it.
I still don't know how you did it. Just getting the kids to pay attention in a live classroom.
Yes.
Is hard enough when now they're in the comfort of their own home.
No, it's pretty comical when you think back now, looking at that screen, be like, okay, let's get out from under the chair. Oh, look at your little stuffed animal. All right, let's put that away.
Yeah. I saw a lot of pets. Saw a lot of pets during.
Of pets. It was
Yeah.
Get a real glimpse.
Somehow you did it though.
We did it.
Yeah.
We all did it.
Wow. I mean, I think all teachers should deserve some kind of special reward, a bonus, like something.
And I think that's
something
the
for
hardest
surviving
thing,
that.
because I think we got through that time, and then some of us. I was fortunate that my district went back in September, full day with masks.
Yeah.
But a lot of districts did these crazy hybrid things for the following year, which was like 1 day on, 2 days off, different kids in, different kids, and I don't even know how that. My boys went through that, and it was very challenging.
Yeah.
And then the following year, again, they came back, but with masks for half a year.
Yeah.
So it's been like, I think for teachers being in it, I think it's been exhausting. And I think there hasn't been that break. It's just that kind of like, what next? And finally, now we don't have the masks. Thank goodness. This is the first year that we're going through a full year without having that.
I think all teachers, they should get somehow build in some kind of 2-week break somewhere. Whereas like, here, go to an island for a couple weeks. You earned it. You deserved it.
Send everybody there.
We won't bother you for those 2 weeks and come back just as a thank you.
That's right.
And Yeah, because we need you.
Right.
So
But I guess so. I know it's true. But even the medical professionals, you look at,
yeah,
they're exhausted. Like
yeah,
it's just been a lot of jobs
yeah, for
just trying
sure.
to get
But
there.
I'm glad you survived it,
We
for
did.
sure.
That's right.
Yeah. So how was it coming back full time then?
Coming back full time with masks was tricky.
Okay.
I think it was more that these four, and they're kindergartners.
Right. How do you get them to keep masks on?
Oh, it was tough. Most of them had, and a lot of them were nervous to almost take them off.
Yeah. Okay.
Then
So
when they had like snack time or lunchtime,
right.
they would sit down and they would take off their masks, and I would just stare at their faces like, oh my gosh, that's what you look
Yeah,
like.
you have a
because
face.
you really can't see when you're just looking at like
Right.
their eyes. So that was it was a little tricky.
Right.
A lot of mask breaks. We started teaching outside, which was
Oh,
of a
cool.
neat thing.
Yeah.
We have a door right outside of my classroom.
Cool.
And I just put in for an outdoor grant, hopefully for an outdoor classroom.
Oh wow.
The more that I think about that
Yeah.
space and what that space could really turn into,
I
it'd be
think.
amazing. Like a sensory garden.
Yeah. 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 Just very zen outside.
Yes.
And yeah, everything's more fun outside.
It's more fun, and I
Oh,
think
yeah.
they're more focused too, right? It's a
Right.
different environment.
Sure.
Instead of sitting in a classroom for, 5 to 7 hours, depending upon if
Yeah.
it's special inside or outside of the classroom, to be able to go outside and have that break and that fresh air, and
Yeah.
to be focused in, doing things that are a little bit different out
Yeah. Go out, get some vitamin D. Get
Yes,
some.
and to still be working out there, just in a
Get some sunlight.
way. I think that education in general is changing a little bit. We're moving away from, where we sit at desks all day and we're
Yeah.
working in more collaboration. And for me, kindergarten is more center-based now. So my classroom is, they move around the classroom. They're working in different centers. They're not really, they sit at tables working on pen and paper for like little bits during the day.
Yeah. But that brings me to this. During COVID, everyone's at home. Part of my kindergarten and school experience was being with other kids.
Right.
And now, they kind of had a year and a half of that taken away. That's that's tough.
It's tough.
Yeah, I learned a lot by hanging out with
Interacting,
other
right?
kids.
Being around, yes, they do learn from each other. So there's a big push in the schools right now for social emotional learning.
Okay.
That's cell education and really focusing on in my school district, and a lot of districts have something called morning meeting now.
Yeah.
So when they come in the morning, instead of just starting your day right
Right.
away, you kind of group together and you discuss different things.
Just talk.
We talk.
That's cool.
We share with each other. They do a greeting where they greet everybody by name. And you can really put your finger and get a pulse on the class from those little things. Just seeing how this one says hello. Oh, that one is not happy. Something's
Right.
going on, and
Yeah.
you can kind of get a feel. And it doesn't matter whether you're in kindergarten or fourth grade or
Yeah.
fifth grade. It's a little bit different what they do in the older grades, but still, it's that everybody coming together in the morning, saying good morning to each other,
Yeah.
taking the time to just
That's how it should be everywhere.
It should
We
be.
should get together, hang out for a little bit, say hi,
Yes,
how's your
just-
day going? What are you working on later? And
That's right.
yeah.
Just little, scenarios for them to share with each other, something that they did or something that they love to do. We do anything. We'll share like, what did you have for dinner last
Yeah.
night? Or maybe it'll be something like, learning new things is hard. What is something that you had to learn that was hard for you? So it could, it could be all these different things that, so
That's amazing.
yes.
That's me. Have you always taught kindergarten?
I haven't. So
Okay.
I originally started as a fourth grade teacher. Actually, I taught third grade for 1 year. And then I went into fourth grade, and I taught fourth grade for probably like 9 years.
Okay.
Then I went into a response to intervention position, which is an interventionist is like almost like a basic skills position.
Right.
But now instead of going into basic skills where the kids are pulled out or in small groups, and it's a big process to get them in when they need support.
Yeah.
An interventionist is somebody who pushes into the classroom or could work with students on like an as-needed basis.
Okay.
So it's a much better way of helping and supporting students than that. When we were younger, we were, you pulled out to be working on different things.
Right.
It wasn't always as helpful. So I did that for fourth and fifth grade for 3 years.
Okay.
And then I took a hiatus from teaching a little bit. I resigned and I went over to Lake House Music Academy. It gave me more time with my family.
Yep. Shout out to Lake House.
Yes. I was a director of elementary programs, and that was
Oh, okay. So you're still working with
so
kids.
still working with kids, just in a different type of way.
Yes.
Which was great, and that was allowed me to be creative. It was scary to do that a little bit, to kind of give.
I can't imagine. So
it's not
yeah.
just like free, like I'm gonna do this, and it was great to meet amazing teachers, musicians.
Yeah.
And
How long were you at Lake House?
2 years,
Okay. And then you're like, all right, I'm gonna go back.
and then I thought, what if I can go back in kindergarten,
Right.
my own class, and hours wise and stuff, it kind of made sense too because my
Okay.
boys were at the age where they were starting to do things after school.
Okay, yeah. So
And
so you have to
weekends.
pick them up right at like whatever 2:15 or whatever.
Yes,
Okay,
and when you're looking at a music academy, your hours really start in the
they're
afternoon and on the
right.
weekends, right?
Yep.
So it's
Yeah,
almost
yeah,
that, like, except for the
yeah,
younger
yeah.
classes.
Musicians don't wake up early.
So
No.
it's a little bit little tricky. So
Yeah.
it made sense, and I thought, well, if I can go back and the stars aligned, sometimes things work out that way. And
I like it when they work out.
it works out.
So when you went back, did you were looking at going into kindergarten?
Ideally, I
Okay,
thought that.
why kindergarten?
When I was at Lake House, I loved, when I taught fourth grade, I loved it. I loved it, but I felt that there was a lot going on as far as like the testing and the different things that
Yeah.
I really wasn't able to kind of be creative in my own way.
Okay,
And I thought, you know what, kindergarten, I could bring my guitar and
Yes.
strum my guitar with them. We can, have a dance party. We can do
Yeah.
these things that maybe, I normally couldn't do. And
Right.
the age, they're so magical to me. When I look at 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds, there's the amount of wonder and awe
yeah,
and excitement for learning. And I just love watching them. And now watching them learn how to read and how to write and to know that I had a part in all that.
yeah. You almost hate to see kids lose that, right? That wonderment
Oh, it's
or that kind of
amazing.
like,
I
wow,
know.
that's cool.
Where does,
Like,
I don't know where or why. All of
I
a
think
sudden
just life kind of
gets in the way.
it beats it out of you sometimes,
Yes.
or I don't know. It just yeah.
I
I mean, I'm trying myself. I'm trying to keep it as much as possible.
we
but
try, right, to keep
at,
that.
in my late
Oh.
40s, I try, and
Yes.
sometimes you see it come out if I hear a song from the 80s or
Yes,
something,
right. You
or
get that fuzzy feeling
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
But like it seems like 5-year-olds, they have it like all the time.
all the time.
Yeah,
And
which
right now our theme is space, and it's
Oh,
kind of
man,
neat. The
okay.
type of classroom that I have and the program that we have different themes throughout the year, and we create the whole classroom space to match the theme that we're in.
Yeah,
So right now we're in space. So we learn for a week about space, and then they create their own props. We do all types of prop making and different
oh wow,
things. And they design the classroom. So we have like astronauts hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah.
We have a Mars with a Mars rover on
Yeah.
it, and all like different really cool things. And they just it's amazing for them to just. They're so excited about it. Like, wait a second, we're on a planet right now. We are on planet
Yeah.
Earth. I'm like, yeah.
yeah.
So
It looks
we-
like this.
We're a
It's-
planet.
it's
That
big
means
and
we're in
blue.
space. Yes, and the excitement,
Right, isn't
sometimes
that
you lose
just-
that, and it's so true. Like,
Yeah,
that is
space doesn't just
amazing,
exist in a movie, like it's real
right?
life.
It's
Yeah,
real life. That
Yeah.
we are living in space. So that excitement just it makes it all worth it.
that's amazing.
Yes.
So you think you'll be teaching kindergarten for the rest of your career?
Well, it's interesting that you say that. I originally, yes, but after having the opportunity this year with County Teacher, I have thinking a lot about going on for leadership.
Oh wow, okay.
So I'm right now in the process of applying to different programs for my supervisory certificate and
Wow.
principal certification. So eventually, I think I'd love to move on a little bit and support teachers.
Wow. So in what way are there titles, or as a principal, or
I'm
board of
thinking as a
education,
I'm
or
thinking principal right
Okay.
now, maybe supervisor too. So
okay,
yeah, we'll see. We'll see where that road leads.
Principal Kimberly. That has a good ring to it. That's a nice ring to
I
it.
don't know. I'm finding that as I'm getting older and more confident in what I'm doing,
Yeah.
seeing these other teachers come in, I just want to support them.
Right.
And I think that being a part of a building and being able to support a community and stuff like that would kind of be a neat opportunity.
Right.
So we'll see. We'll see where it goes.
How did you get into all this? Did you always know you wanted to teach?
It's interesting. I always knew that I was a teacher at heart. My mom was a teacher. And I gave piano lessons from when I was like 14 years old.
Okay, so
I
you've
ran
had
my
it.
own
It's
business.
in your blood.
It's in my blood.
blood.
But I never knew like I really wanted to be in a school, and I actually didn't think that I wanted to. I felt like, those cinder blocks all day, and I don't know if I want to go back into that type of a structure.
Yeah.
It's kind of a free spirit. Like, no, it's great. I'm giving piano lessons, and I make my own hours.
Yeah.
And I was doing really well, and then I was in my 20s, and my mom was like, "Oh, you need benefits. You've got to start to figure this out." I went to school for psychology.
Mm-hmm.
I was going for my master's in psychology, and life kind of got in the way at that point. And I thought, well, all right, well, I'll go as an instructional assistant
Yeah.
in a school. And I started doing that, and I realized I'm like, wait, I really love working with these kids. Like,
Yeah.
this is great.
So instructional assistant, I guess back in
So
the day,
it's
that
kind
was
of that
like
alternate, like, all right, I guess
yeah. I guess back in the day they just called it like an aide.
Yes,
Okay.
but it was more for like a computer technology program.
Oh, cool.
So
Okay.
it was actually like working with the
Yes.
students in
Yeah.
the class, supporting the teacher and stuff at that time.
Yeah. So you're like, I
it
could
was,
do this.
and then the principal there was like, you really have to go back.
Yeah.
You should be a teacher. So I was like, okay.
Yeah. They saw it in you. And
They
then they
did.
might have been like, listen, we need your help. We need you.
we need you to do
Please.
this.
Yes.
So, and I saw it. It was the first time that I really saw this. Like, oh, this is something actually that it seems so natural for me.
Right.
And I think that's
That's cool.
yeah. So,
And that was
here we
18
are.
years ago.
18 years ago.
That's amazing.
Yes.
That's cool.
So when you look back 18 years, my gosh.
Has it flown?
It has.
Okay.
It has. And I think that, there were a couple of years that were really a struggle a little bit for me. Not that I was ever, I always loved teaching, but I think as a person, I think sometimes we tend to lose when you have children and you are
Oh, sure.
a parent and you kind of go through the motions where all of a sudden you just feel like you wake up in the morning, you have your morning routine, you go to work, you teach, you get back. And I felt like I was like a hamster spinning on a wheel.
Right.
And that's at that point I was like, something's got to change. Like I kind of felt like I lost part of who I was. And I think as a parent, sometimes that happens.
Oh, sure.
And sometimes even with work, you kind of get
Yep.
bogged down sometimes.
Well,
where you just
you're
kind of are like wrapped up.
Your
with so
life
many
is your
things.
kid's life at that point.
Right.
And you're talking for 18 years. Where in that timeline did your own kids come along?
So my first son was born in 2006.
Okay.
So yeah, so 3 years in.
3 years in. Okay. Was that hard?
Yeah, that was it was challenging.
Yeah.
I had some medical issues with my back
Okay.
afterwards too, so that put me out for a little time.
Yeah.
So it was like a little bit of a difficult time for us. But yes, and then going back and having to have somebody watch him was
Right.
It's tough when you have to do that.
Oh, sure. But then, you're taking care of your kids. Then you're taking
Right.
care of all these
Yes.
other kids. It's
Yes, and then you're going back and forth.
going
And that's
back
it.
and
That's
forth.
it. There's no time to think for
Right.
yourself or to have any of that time.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what I learned a little bit. But, my children were also older when I started to realize that, there is a balance there. And it is important as much as, you're not to be selfish by any means,
Yeah.
but also to just make sure that we do take those little bits of time for
Right.
ourselves. Like waking up, 45 minutes earlier so you can work out in the morning. Or
Yeah.
things like that,
Yep.
just
Yeah.
so you have that time.
Wow. And did your teaching style change at all after you had kids? Because you kind of relate a little more.
Yes.
Like, oh, okay, this is what it's like
Yes.
as a parent. I can see their perspective now since I'm a parent now.
Yes.
And the
yes.
kids, okay, I know what they're going through. Now I have kids. I can kind of see that.
I think you grow so much, and I agree. I think that you become more patient too because you start to understand.
Right.
Even now with homework, and when I started teaching and I didn't have children, it's you don't have your homework. What do you mean? Well, you had soccer. I understand you were busy, but homework's important.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, oh yeah, homework. Who has time for homework?
Yeah, right. Okay, I get
So
it. Yeah.
busy. We get it. It's just you have a little bit of more of a perspective
Okay.
of what they're going through. And I
Right.
think my patience too. You have your own. One of the best things I think somebody said to me once is that when you have a student that's struggling, like put yourself in the perspective of it being your child.
Yeah.
And how would you want that teacher to relate to them?
Right.
And I think that gives me such compassion sometimes.
Oh,
because it's
sure,
true.
yeah,
When you look
yeah.
at that, like, it could be a behavior or something that's really challenging, but then
Right.
you realize you're like, okay.
Okay, yeah, he's going through this. Okay, I get
He's
it.
going through
I
this,
get
yes.
it.
And we know that there's always things behind, that cause. what's
Always.
going on.
Yeah.
And I think as I've gotten older too, my relationship with parents is so much more comfortable. I
Right.
think when you're younger and you don't have kids, it's just a different relationship.
Right.
than
But
when
now you're like, oh, we're
you're in it,
both
like, we've
parents.
gone through
both
this,
have kids.
yes.
I get it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not as like almost that awkward. And I don't know if I ever came off awkward, but I think I always felt like that nervousness.
Yeah.
Whereas now I feel a lot more comfortable.
Yeah. What's it like being in a school right now? I know, when we were in school, if we had a problem, you kind of had to solve it by yourself. There was a guidance counselor, but we were kind of left alone. It seems like now they take a bigger effort to deal with the problems that I went through that I had no help for.
Yes.
Bullying
Yes.
was one. They're like, oh, we didn't really do anything about that.
I know. It's true.
Name calling, mental health. They kind of brushed that under back in our day, But now I think looks like more schools are setting up mental health programs.
Yes, absolutely.
Taking that as a big deal. The anti-bullying is a thing, which is
Yes.
good.
So important.
But yeah, I don't know what's it like being in school these days.
I think that there is so much more. And I think after even COVID really has even pushed
Okay.
that forward now again, that everybody's really looking at the well being of all
Yeah.
students. I feel that there really is. Whereas before it was kind of like there was a whole pack and you're like, okay, everybody's fine. Like maybe Johnny's struggling a little bit,
Yeah,
but there wasn't
but-
like much attention
Yeah,
to that. Whereas now I feel like there is so much more focus.
Yeah.
And there is a lot more. And I know in my school now we have 2 counselors, where we had 1 guidance counselor before, but now we have 2 full-time counselors for support. And then a lot of the assemblies that we have are based on social emotional
Yep.
and supporting. And as far as bullying goes, it's really not tolerated anymore.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
it still happens, unfortunately.
Sure,
it
but I
does,
think more kids
it's-
are aware. Like this is
they're
not
aware.
okay.
And now districts actually have to fill out a harassment, intimidation, and bullying form that goes before the Board of Education
Yeah.
and then to the state
Right.
for every incident.
Wow. Okay. So
it's
I
a
think
big
bottom
deal.
line is taken seriously now.
It is taken.
Okay.
It's
Thank
taken
goodness.
a lot more seriously.
Yeah.
And I think it needed to be.
Yeah.
So
And I mean, on your side, how are the resources as far as teaching, the support on the teacher side? I'm sure you've seen it hopefully get better
yes.
throughout the years, but
And, there's still work to be done.
Sure.
I think. Again, I'm pretty fortunate where I am in my district that we do have the support and the resources that we need to be successful. I know not every district is the same
Right.
way or has the support for teachers.
Yeah.
We are extremely supported from our PTA to the Board of Ed. There is a structure there to support us.
yeah,
But talking to being part of the county teacher cohort is kind of neat now because every county has a teacher of the year and there's
Right.
21 counties. So there's 21 of us that get together and discuss these things.
Oh,
And I
cool.
know
Okay.
That in different districts, it's not always as supportive.
Right.
There isn't always that support. And the bigger districts, I think sometimes you have more of a challenge with that. Because
Right.
It's just simple management of that.
Yeah. And it sounds like the tools that you're given to teach are a little bit. Do you have like a Promethean board?
I do.
Okay.
I have a smart board in my classroom.
Okay.
is
Which,
neat.
if you don't know what that is, it's a board you can write on. It kind of translates into a computer, and it's
So it'll mirror everything from my computer onto the board, and then I can use a pen to write or change things, or it turns into a whiteboard.
Yeah, it's like a Jetson
There's
style
like a
chalkboard.
timer.
where-
There's
yeah,
all kinds of a spinny wheel.
Yeah,
we can things.
visuals.
Yes,
Yeah.
It's tons of things. So it's amazing to have that. And then I'm fortunate in my classroom we have one-to-one Chromebooks,
Oh wow. Okay.
and I almost one-to-one iPads.
Oh
So
wow. Okay.
I do have the technology in place for my students,
Yeah.
but it's the balance too is so important, right? Where you want to make sure that they're exposed to technology,
Right.
but they have so much at home that the quality of what they're on when they're on it has to be really thought about.
Yeah, I was always waiting for that day. It's like, all right, well, just write your name down here. It's like, write.
Yeah.
I have to write. Like, how do I do that? Yeah, where you don't even need to write anymore.
It's true. It's
Yeah.
true. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, but however, with all the apps and all, it does make it easier. You have online tools, correct, and online libraries. You can get stuff from.
Yes, and there's a really neat program that I'm actually going to be hosting a webinar for, and it's this program on the iPads that the students use, and they have those. You remember the magnet tiles? The letters.
Oh sure,
those little
yeah.
letter
Oh
things?
yeah.
Well, this is actually a place where you have these tiles and you put them in and it shows up on the iPad.
Oh,
So
wow.
like spell pen and
Right.
you have to find
Boom,
the
boom, boom.
and
Yeah.
you put it and then it'll light if one of them's wrong.
Right.
And it's just such an interactive
That's
way,
pretty cool.
and it's multisensory. So they're manipulating the tiles and
Yeah.
so to have access to programs like that
Yeah.
where they're actually learning and it's not just where they're pressing buttons or listening to something
Right.
that they could do at home.
That's cool. I wish I had that.
I
You know,
know,
we
it's
we
amazing,
got
right?
through. Yeah, we got through. It's like, here you go. Here's a lined piece of paper.
I know.
Here's number 2 pencil.
I know.
Go.
No. And really, how are you watching all of those students as a teacher too?
Yeah, exactly.
You're here. There's sometimes 20 kids in a class.
Right.
You're not able to really tailor, your
Right.
attention to that. So it's neat when they're on these different programs, you get data back that's instant and real. And I could see whenever they, instead of putting an E, they're putting an A. So they
Right.
have confusion between those two
Yeah.
letters. It's easy to be able to see that and use that
Right.
as a tool to kind of differentiate. So it's neat. It's changing.
Yeah, and the internet has. I don't know if it's made things easier. I'm going to assume it has. You turn in assignments online. You can put assignments online.
Yes.
You can track progress online, which is pretty cool.
It is. It is neat. I with my kindergartners don't have that as much, although it's a great way to communicate with
Yeah.
families and things.
Yep.
And then for student council, I'm a student council co-advisor, so that's a neat way for me to be able to be in touch with the students.
Yeah.
To be able to for them to submit things or to look at different things that
Right.
we're not meeting, which is
That's cool. So, if you were to meet maybe a high school student or someone in college, like, hey, I'm thinking about going into teaching. Is this something you would recommend?
I would.
Okay.
I would. And it's like one of those things I think nowadays you look at, I don't know if every teacher would say that. And I'm
Right.
sure when I'm sitting here and interviewing other teachers, some teachers might not
Sure.
say that.
Yeah.
It's become a very exhausting profession for some people. I think that there's a lot that's going on, but then again, when you think of other professions, I think we're all in it
Right.
as well.
Yeah.
But I love it. I think if you have that, where you love to work with children, and I think that it's a pretty great profession.
Yeah.
You have to have a love of learning, I think, is the key too. Not only like working with children, but as a teacher, you're constantly growing, evolving, and getting more professional development,
Oh,
and
yeah.
learning new ways. So you have to have that.
Yeah.
love of
Every year,
learning.
right? So
Every year, and programs change, and different theories behind what we teach and why we teach the way that we do.
yeah,
It's like that pendulum goes back and forth. So I think you have to have that love of learning.
that's amazing. Well, I see your passion just through your voice, which I think translates into your teaching style, which translates into how your students and the parents perceive you.
Oh,
And
thank
so
you.
it's no small wonder that you've won multiple awards, and I'm sure the kids and the parents love you as well, which is cool. Yeah, the perception of the teacher back when I was going to school was, the buttoned up kind of,
Right.
cardigan, old lady teacher, I guess, which I had many of those.
Right,
And,
I did as well. I did.
and not
Not that
gonna
there
lie,
was anything wrong with it.
no,
They
no,
were
no.
fantastic.
Some were great. Some, it was a little harder for them to relate to kids, I felt.
I think so. I think that
Yeah.
was that disconnect.
Yeah,
back
some
then.
were just
That-
old school, and they ruled with an iron ruler,
Yes.
and it was their way or the highway, and it was
true.
it was
you were
difficult for sure.
intimidated or afraid of them.
I was,
sometimes,
which
right?
you know,
I feel
at
like I
times
had
did it
teachers
get
that
me
would
to,
sit there and be like, "Don't ask to go to the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
Don't raise your hand."
or don't call on me,
Yeah,
please
yeah,
don't call
yes.
on me, because yeah,
I would sit in the back and just try to blend in, but
that was pretty hard for me, just
Yes.
kind of looking the way I did, and it was
it's tough.
I-
That's really
so-
tough.
it was-
It's hard.
Yeah, for sure. So why? I mean, you love what you do.
I love.
If
what
I
I
were
do.
to ask you, like, what do you do it?
Ah,
What would your answer be?
I think that I couldn't see myself doing anything else.
Okay.
I really do. I wake up in the morning and I'm excited to go into that classroom. Every day's different.
Yeah.
I think that's something that's really cool too. Like
Yeah.
I'm not at a job where I know like, okay, I'm going to go sit at that desk.
Right. I'm gonna make dashboards all day. Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea. Like I have a plan of what's going to happen,
Yeah.
but sometimes things just get switched up, things change, and it's just you can you have a plan for the day, but you don't really know how that day is going to go.
Right.
And I think that that's each day is different, and it's fun. It's
That's-
fun.
that's
It's
a-
not a job for me. I really feel like I don't.
That's
feel like
that's a rare statement for most people and their
Yes.
jobs. So
yes.
that's amazing. So you think you're gonna be teaching for the next 40, 50 years?
I don't know. I like to think that I am.
Okay.
I don't know age-wise if I'll be doing that, and I
Yeah.
hope that I can keep the excitement. I think that's important for me, is really keeping that
Yeah.
excitement and joy is important, because I think that it's true. It does translate.
Yeah.
If you love what you do and you're happy doing what
Oh
you're
yeah.
doing.
People see it.
They're
People
gonna
see it. They
It's
see it right away.
contagious, right?
Yep.
And I think that that's so important. And I hope that I can continue that, and then hopefully support others to
Right.
kind of be that ambassador for.
That's amazing.
education.
Well, I think you're doing a
We'll
great
see.
job.
Thank you.
You are. I love that this is called Teachers Who Rock, because that's what I think of when I think of you.
Oh,
So
thanks.
yeah, for sure. And for many, many reasons. But and I'm glad you're starting this. It makes me really happy.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
This has been something that's been in my brain, I have to say. We discussed this probably 2 years ago.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like at least 2 years.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this.
Hardest
I'm
part is just getting started, and once
I
you do
know.
that, it just kind of flows, and you start booking guests, and you're like, oh, I should talk to this person. I should talk to this
Yes.
person. Then as you get more episodes up, you're gonna have people coming to you.
That's
and like,
great.
hey, when do I get to be
And there
on?
are, and I think of this when I think of so many different educators, and not just teachers,
Yeah.
school nurses, and
Yep.
we have amazing custodians and superintendents and principals and people that are just involved in education.
Yeah.
And I think, and they all have stories. The thing is, like,
Yeah.
they're at school and they're doing amazing things while they're at school, but then they go home and they do all these other cool,
Yep.
awesome things as well. And
Yeah.
sometimes we don't celebrate them.
Right.
And
That's what I like to talk to kids about.
Right?
Yeah.
It's
I always ask them, like, well, what do you do when you're not stuck here at school? And they pour it out. It's great.
Right. They do, right?
Yeah. It's pretty awesome. So yeah, if one day you want me to come down and talk to your kids
Oh, I would love
and
that.
and maybe record stuff with them. I've done it with mainly high school kids,
Okay.
but and then a few weeks ago the 10-year-olds came in. So
That
yeah,
would
what?
actually be so fun to interview 5-year-olds.
Oh yeah, yeah,
They would have so much to say.
yeah. So stay tuned for that, ladies and
Yes,
gentlemen. I
absolutely.
think that'd be great. Well, thank you. Is there anything else? Did I miss anything?
No, I
'Cause
think that was very thorough.
Okay.
Thank you. This
Okay.
is great. Thanks, Ming.
I learned so much about you. So.
Oh, thanks.
So yeah, stay
is
tuned.
fun.
Teachers Who Rock, many Teachers Who Rock, coming soon
Yes.
on this amazing podcast. But well, you just learned all about Kimberly, so which is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
The teacher who rocks, and yeah, thank you. Like, subscribe, follow on social media, and
Yes.
come to a show maybe.
Yes,
But, yeah.
definitely. Mama Drama Show.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This was fun. Bye.